Hello, this is Randy, and welcome back to another episode of Brain Break with Randy and Keitho. It's just me. I'd like to share a story with you that I think you might get a kick out of. Worked for Procter and Gamble for 4 or 5 years. I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot, had a number of amazing experiences. One time we had a sales meeting to celebrate having accomplished an amazing year. We went to stay at the Broadmoor in Colorado Springs. Now, that's a deluxe hotel. Back in the day, it was 5 stars. It was incredible. Colorado Springs is where the Air Force Academy is, and that was one of our big accounts. We sold them Folgers coffee for food service. We had to teach them how to brew coffee properly. It was interesting learning how to do that at such a large facility. The Air Force Academy feeds everyone at the same time. They all sit down and start eating all at once. So being able to brew all that coffee was quite an accomplishment. We figured out how to do it, how to use the same exact equipment they had, and offer them a better product at a less price. But that's not what the story's about. The story's about staying at the Broadmoor. Now, I had never stayed at a property like that because this property, the room I stayed in was a very nice room, and it had Henredon furniture. It was just a very nice room, the kind of furniture you would see in someone's who's very wealthy in their home. And so the day we went golfing, and that's a fun story too. I may get back to that, but I want to tell you about the rest of this. Our boss wanted everyone to have a chance to taste his favorite liqueur, which was served in a brandy snifter. I don't drink. He asked me if I would at least hold it when they, cheered each other or whatever they do when they toast. Then I would pour mine into his. And I said, sure. And it just means you want a double dose. That's fine with me. And so I poured mine in. Most of the guys took one sniff, and this brandy it had so much alcohol to it, it was burning their noses. And almost everybody poured their cups, their snifters into his snifter. In fact, if I remember right, they got him a bigger one. So the rest of them, with the exception of my boss's boss, they kind of snuck off and they said, hey, we're going to go to this topless bar that caters to the cadets at the academy, and we want to come. And I was like, no, I don't do that. So I was in my room getting ready for bed, and this is a couple hours later, and I'm hearing this horrible noise. And I open the window, look out. I'm looking down at a pond, which is gorgeous. The moon's on it, but there's something weird. There's something moving on the pillar. One of the pillars is taller. Well, what it was is my boss's boss was on this pillar standing and literally howling at the moon. Now, he was singing occasionally, but most of the time he was just kind of howling at the moon. I got dressed and I ran down to get him off that safely. I got him back to his room and got him convinced he needed to stay in his room. And I'm not used to doing those kind of things, but I figured it was better than him being arrested and getting us all in trouble, since we were supposed to be there the next couple of days. So anyway, I go back to my room and my message light is blinking. And I pick it up and it says, called at this number. So I dial that number. It's the police station. I said, well, I'm supposed to call and talk to so-and-so. They said, well, he's in jail. Let me see if I can get him. He said, Randy, we need you to come and bail me out. I've got the lowest bail, and I will pay you back, but you got to get me out of jail so I can get everybody else out of jail. I said, what are you in jail for? Well, they had gone to this topless bar and gotten carried away. I guess they touched the girls inappropriately or did something. It's been a number of years. So I did that this was my old boss, not my new boss, my old boss. It was pretty interesting. I went down and bailed him out. Never done a bail before or since. Got him bailed out. I did get paid back. He got everybody else out. And the biggest concern I had, to be honest with you, was that my wife would find out, because she really liked this man. She didn't find out for several years. When she heard me telling the story, then she figured out who it's all about. But anyway, That was a very, very interesting experience. It kind of helped me understand one of the reasons why, well, one, I have a grandfather that was an alcoholic. He literally crawled into a bottle and lived there. I never even knew I had a grandfather until he died. I realize, that it's a lot of these people, and I've worked with a lot of them that, man, they literally live to drink. If you have an open bar or an unlimited bar, you're going to have people in trouble. They just can't handle their liquor. They don't realize because they're not paying for it that how many drinks they've had. But getting back to another story from earlier in that day, my boss's boss, or my boss, my new boss, had decided that all the non-golfers would play golf together when we were playing this Broadmoor course, which was amazing. We started out, we had some time between us, but because we weren't golfers, we were very slow. There was a couple of men that behind us, and I could tell they were catching up to us. When they did catch up to us, I knew who they were. It was Don Shula and his son, and Don was the coach of the Miami Dolphins. His son was the coach of the Cincinnati. I can't remember what Cincinnati is, and I'm not a football fan. But anyway, the company I worked for was actually headquartered in Cincinnati. So when I would go to Cincinnati for meetings, which happened every once in a while, I'd go see the son, who was the coach there for a few years. My boss's boss was a former pro football player. He played for a year or two and then decided to go back to school. I don't know if he finished his degree or if he got an advanced degree. I don't remember anymore. But I really wanted to meet Don Shula. Unlike what I would have thought, that he was all caught up in himself. One, he liked the fact that I wasn't a football fan. I watched it as a teenager, and all the players I talked about were players that he'd had, 10 years or more before. He got a kick out of that. I was talking about Mercury Morris, Zonka, and these guys. I thought that was pretty great. He was such a gentleman. I didn't realize how much our relationship meant until that Christmas. I got a Christmas card from him. We got him our card and then kept him on our Christmas card list for another 10 or 15 years. We got to see him a couple times. He was the nicest man, quite a gentleman. And it's killing me that I can't remember his son's name. The minute I'm done recording here, I'll look it up and know exactly who it is. But right now, don't remember. That's part of getting old, I guess. But anyway, my boss's boss really wanted to meet Don Shula. And so he came up, kind of stood there, and I finally said, Don, this is my boss. And I named my boss's boss. And he said, oh, great. Hi, how's it going? Oh, I used to play football, blah, blah, blah. And Don says, oh, great. Good for you. It was like, kid, you bother me. And it was, well, let's put it this way. I'd never seen anybody treat him that way. And I thought it was pretty great. But anyway, I really enjoyed going to the Biltmore. But the biggest reason was because I got to meet Don Shula. Eating the good food was nice. Seeing my friends that get drunk and either get arrested or do something silly was embarrassing and sad. I'm just glad that I learned a little better in my youth to not imbibe. That's just me. I know a lot of people that can handle their liquor. I admire that. I decided never to find out after hearing about my grandfather when I was 11 or 12 that maybe I didn't need to know if I was going to be an alcoholic, that if it was that bad in his life, I didn't want to expose my family to that either. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Brain Break with Randy and Keitho. I hope you will like and subscribe. Please give us your comments. If there's something interesting to you or you'd like to hear more about one thing or another, let us know. Those are great things for us to know. If you would, tell your family and friends about us. Again, thank you, and I wish you a good day.